Here with the van today. I am planning on doing a couple maintenance tasks on the van. The things I'm trying to do today are idler pulleys. Actually, there's 4 pulleys on the 2.1 liter, so I'm trying to get those replaced. I want to do exhaust gasket on the little donut gasket on the exhaust turbo outlet to the DPF exhaust part. And there's a little triangulated bracket that holds part of that up and bolts to the block. I want to try and replace that because it's broken on mine. And there's I got some rear end fluid. I might try and do the rear end fluid swap, but we'll see how far I get. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, so far I've just taken the intake off, thinking I was going to possibly get the fan off and the shroud, pull the fan shroud and everything to give me a little more room in here to work. But the fan, clutch fan on this doesn't have a nut or any way to take it off, looks like, without taking the whole front end of the van off. I don't know how to get to. There's probably a trick, but I have no clue how the heck. There's probably a special tool to get that clutch fan off without pulling the whole motor out. I don't know. It's really strange. The BMW I had a nice nut that was reverse thread. You could tap it with a hammer and a big wrench, and bam, it just spun right off, and you can pull the shroud and the clutch fan off in one, kind of both of them at the same time. They pulled right out. Super easy. They didn't do that on this. I don't know why. It's really, I don't know, disappointing. I thought the Germans would have thought that out. Let's see. Here's the bracket I'll be replacing. This bracket fits on, bolts to the block. Let's get it out of here. It bolts to the block here, and then the actual exhaust is supported here. So it actually is support for the exhaust outlet from the turbo area. Got some other things in here. Oh yeah, here's the donut, exhaust donut, which hopefully is the right size, because I mean, got a lot of this stuff. Actually, these I got off eBay. The pulleys I got off of Rock Auto, and that's why. I don't know. I put all the right information in, 2.1 liter, the right year, and it sent me the wrong pulleys. So, and I got this stuff for my rear end fluid change. So, but I don't know if I'll even get to that. Under the van, so it seems to be the easiest way to get to everything. So I got a 16 millimeter socket, and it has to be let's see, I guess it'd be what, 10-sided or whatever, not a 5-sided socket. It has to be a star, like a 10-sided socket. But then I can release the tension on the belt that way and slip it off, that tensioner. And then I got this pulley here, that pulley right there with the rusted bolt, and there's one up top, but they're all smooth, which is really strange. Actually, the one up top isn't smooth. Oh, it does run on. You can kind of see it past the water pump. Oh yeah, that is the grooved side. Okay, so I guess I did get the right ones. Anyways, I'm gonna try and release the tension on that and see how far I can get on this. Okay, so yeah, I got the first one off here, and I was able to release the tension on the belt, and this is the lowest one with that rusty bolt. Anyways, it comes apart, and I checked the bearing, and it actually seems to be pretty good. So that's not the squeaky culprit that I have, but here's my new one. It's made in Germany part, so should be good. So we'll put that one back in. Okay, so I pulled the top cover off the engine so I could better see this pulley up the top, and that is the grooved one. So it's this one, and so that's that guy down there. And belt is loose, so it is a T45. It's right in there. Oh yeah. Okay, so this one's putting up a little more of a fight. So the reason is because of clearance. So to get a socket and a wrench on that, there's not enough clearance with the fan. There's actually a regular socket wrench like this, or like this. I mean, if you have a really slim socket, or just a small, like a 3/8 breaker bar that just has a 90 degree and no ratcheting, it would work. But I didn't have one of those handy, so I had to do this because I happen to have a universal joint and a bendy ratchet available to me. So I had to go in here like this and, you know, get it in the, it's hard to do one-handed. Okay, so it's in, and that 90 helps me clear the fan, but then I can turn back with the ratchet. Little awkward, but it got the job done. I'm just doing that to break it loose, and now the bolt's loose, and now I can just take it the rest of the way out with my hand. Okay, on to the actual tensioner and pulley. Looks like they pinned it when they send it to you, so to release the tension, you just pull this pin after you have it installed and the belt put in the right place, and that should just tension right up. You know, this makes it easier to install, I suppose. To me it looks like it's gonna be size smaller than that. Actually no, this side, yeah. So a 12 T12 looks like, or an E12 I should say. This was a 14, so let's try the 12, see if that fits. Okay, so getting this bolt on the tensioner off is quite difficult. Or not difficult, really, just the easiest one to get on. Oh, there it goes. Let's see if I can pop this loose. Oh yeah. So that's that. And now I should just be able to spin it out. Both of them are now loose. There's barely any tension on those two bolts, you know, but now I gotta be able to get them out, so let's try that next. The tensioner out, and man, it is tight in there. That clearance on this to get out the bolts is really tight, and hopefully we'll go back in there relatively easily. But this room in here, I mean, you can see the radiator hose is in the way. I pulled these little lines out of these little holders down here. There's two little plastic line holders, and so I can move them up a little bit, up over the power steering reservoir, and that might give me a little more room. This thing was scratching the crap out of me right here. Move that to the side, maybe not get so scratched up. That and the shroud on this side was scratching my arms up. But yeah, let's see if we can fish this new one down in there. I had to come up the top and fish it through here, and then up through here. So we'll go back in the same way. Oof, man, that actually went in fairly easy, but I found out the technique to get the tensioner in is you can use a flashlight kind of from this side to see where you're going, so you can see one of the bolts down right there, and you can see the other one down there past that pin. It's right there. So you can kind of look there, but then snake your hand in with the wrench, or snake your hand in from here underneath this hose, and you can start the bolts and get them most of the way in, almost tight, and then you can get a socket onto it, or feed a wrench, a ratchet down in through here, get it onto the bolt, and then you can just move the ratchet in here and just snug it up. It's very light pressure on them, so it's it's okay with just a pretty good hand tight is all it really needs. So this top one on this side, on the exhaust side of the motor, it's pretty easy to get to, just kind of like the bottom ones, but and this top one over here. So this one, it's just the same size socket, and there's also interference with the fan, so you can't really get a long or a standard size socket wrench on there with the socket. But if you have something shallow that fits in there, it comes off easily. I had to use my little multiple universal joint setup to make it work. But then, so I just break it loose, and then I pull the ratchet off. I don't ratchet it off all the way, because if you do that, then you just keep losing clearance with the fan and then you could jam your wrench in there and not be able to get any of it out. So it's just best to break it loose and then try and get the rest off with your fingers, or just putting the socket in there and just spinning the socket itself. Okay, putting the belt back on, it goes, let's see, so over this top pulley, grooves go into the pulley, it's a grooved pulley, straight across over to the power steering pump. So over that, straight down from there, around the get under here, the AC, or no, I forgot what that is. Maybe that's the actual power steering pump, or something else. What is that? Compressor or something. Anyways, down around there, and over that tensioner, down around the crank, then see, down around the crank. So it goes around the crank, makes a pretty good wrap most of the way around the crank. Go back up top, comes over the crank. You can't barely see it down there. Let's see. Comes up from over the crank, then down around the tensioner, back up over the water pump, down to the alternator, down there. Comes back up, barely touches this idler, or this little pulley up here, and then back up over this top pulley. I ran that, so all the pulleys are replaced, except for one. I didn't think of this, and I didn't know about it. I thought it was just one belt, but there's two belts, and there's a tensioner here. It just goes to the AC compressor. So that pulley, and there's no tensioner, nothing. I don't know how the heck you even release tension or set tension on this belt. I guess by taking the compressor housing off and jamming it on there. But of course, that's probably the pulley that's making noise, It's not all the ones I just replaced. Anywho, that's the way life goes. Next thing on tap is that bracket in there. That's the one that's broken. See, it actually goes to the downpipe. So there's two bolts there, but it actually, well, you can actually see a crack. You can see a crack right there, but on the other end, let's see if I can reach in here and, nope, not there. It's actually completely broken through on this lower support. So it makes kind of a chirping noise when I shut the engine off. So I want to get that replaced. Wow. So I don't know how sturdy this thing originally was, or how much abuse had to be inflicted on the exhaust in order for this to break like this, but I mean every mounting point, every mounting location snapped off basically, and this was about to fail right there anyway. So I was gonna lose this piece of metal down the road at some point. So I mean, this is what it's supposed to look like, so that's kind of weird. The bolt sizes we got, what I had were a well, let's see, this is these back bolts here are a well, let's see, 12. Yep, those are 12. And this one little one that goes to the heat shield, this guy is an 11. Okay, so I popped this bolt off here that holds the clamp, the C-clamp. Hoping it's a C-clamp. That the donut that I'm replacing should be under there. And well, I mean, it's kind of, it's not exactly, it's not loose. It seems like there's something else holding it in. I'm gonna pry on it a little. Okay, yeah, just a little pry and it kind of separated. Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, popped right off. So now I have to figure out how to move it far enough to get that donut off of there. Alright, so I guess I'm going to pull 20, or I don't know what the saying is. I'm going to give up. I'm going to throw in the towel on this particular project for the day, because I'm by myself and I'm trying to, I think I bit off a little more than I can chew for one person to do. If I had an extra hand kind of putting tension on the exhaust, I could probably do the donut thing, you know, but as I was looking at it, the only reason I was going to replace it, because I don't have a leak or anything there, but because of this bracket here, because of this bracket was so basically broken, and my springy, flexible section of the exhaust right after the DPF, that piece had broken a little bit. I repaired it with a like sleeve, so I sleeved it, which made it a lot more stiff, but basically the DPF was floating around in there quite a bit, so I figured maybe that exhaust donut had a lot more abrasion and stuff on it than it normally would have, so that's why I thought to replace it. But it's not leaking and I don't have an extra hand, so I'm just gonna leave that, button it back up. I lost one bolt for that mount. It just slipped off the socket as I was putting it in, and it didn't fall out of the van, so it's somewhere in the van, but just not through the hole and bolted into the block like it should be. So I don't know what's going on there, but just gonna go with the 3 that I did get in. It's definitely a lot more solid than it was before. I'll probably find another bolt or get another bolt and put it into that spot. So I got 3 out of the 4 in there, so I'm gonna have to go with that. I'm not gonna do the rear end. That's gonna be another video because I just ran out of time. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this and learned something. Keep trucking. Adios.